Ghost types make no sense in Pokemon, Gen 1 especially, and ghost types might rival bug type Pokemon in Gen 1 for being the worst Pokemon for that generation. But how can some of the most unique Pokemon like Haunter and Gengar be bad, especially in Gen 1, where Psychic types were OP and could only be countered by bugs and ghost types? Well, sign in, sit right down, make yourself comfortable because we're going to be visiting Spook City today. But you shouldn't be scared of the ghosts. You should be scared of how bad they are to use in the game. Hello and welcome back to Pokemon Theory, the show where Professor Oak really isn't a professor and going to the gym doesn't mean pumping iron. Unless you're in Dewford Town, which is a literal gym. Ghost Pokemon make no sense in Gen 1 and actually break Pokemon's logic. And if you haven't seen my previous video of why Pokemon makes no sense because of bug Pokemon, you probably are going to be knowing where I'm going with this if you have seen it. So basically, ghost Pokemon should be overpowered in themselves. I mean, they're ghost types, yet they really aren't. Most Pokemon in Generation 1 were given normal type attacks no matter what type they were themselves, especially early on. For example, one of the best attacks that a Pokemon can receive was Slash, a normal type attack that was quite powerful with a boosted critical hit chance. It was really good and a lot of Pokemon got it. However, because ghost type Pokemon can't be hit by normal type attacks, they are immune to that attack. And most default moves like Tackle and Scratch, they're moves that are used later on in the game. Team Rocket still use Coughings that use Tackle all the time, way late in the game. So even extremely powerful moves as well, like Hyper Beam, Body Slam, and Explosion, will do nothing against Ghost-type Pokemon. And not just normal types, Ghost Pokemon are also immune to fighting type attacks as well. So moves like Low Kick, Submission, they don't do anything against them. Pretty awesome, right? So what gives? Why do Ghost Pokemon suck so bad if they're immune to the bulk of default attacks in the game? Put simply, they lack the ability to do anything on their own. Ghost Pokemon moves cannot hit normal types either, which causes a clash of typing. So that's great, you're using a normal type against a ghost type, alright? Obviously they ain't gonna hit you either. So it's basically, if you don't have any elemental attacks or attacks that can actually hit a ghost, you're at a stalemate. So that's great, right? Wonderful. In Generation 1, Pokemon like Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar are the only ghost Pokemon, and worse yet, their moves are just absolutely terrible too. So, the only damaging moves that these Pokemon get is Lick and Nightshade. That's ghost type damaging moves. Lick is extremely weak, and Nightshade is set to the level at which the Pokemon was at. So level 25 Haunter would do 25 damage to the enemy. It's very similar to Seismic Toss and Dragon Rage, but Nightshade is a decent move, only for a limited time though, because once again, the HP starts to grow, so yeah, only doing 50 or 60 damage isn't that great. But ghost Pokemon like Haunter and Gengar are regarded as some of the absolute best Pokemon, not only in design, but just how they can be used in the later generations. And yet, in Gen 1, without the assistance of TMs, they were absolute trash. The best anyone could hope for with a natural Gengar would be to have Lick, Nightshade, Confuse Ray, and potentially hope that Hypnosis would put the enemy to sleep, and then they could slowly destroy them over time. But Hypnosis misses quite a lot too, and Lick has a high chance to paralyze, so basically you could screw yourself over with your own tactic, because you can't sleep and paralyze at the same time. And even worse, if you taught Gengar Dream Eater and used that tactic instead, Dream Eater is not a ghost type move, meaning there's no bonus damage done. Yeah. Gengar, however, can be taught moves like Psychic, making him great for dealing with poison types, as it also resists them naturally. However, poison types can't take a hit from Psychic attacks, so really there's no real point to resist them, and there's plenty of other types that resist them also, like rock types, so yeah. But even then, why would you do that when you have Pokemon like Hypno, Mr. Mime, and Alakazam that can easily be obtained? In fact, all those Pokemon can be obtained before the Pokemon Tower as well. And Butterfree can learn Psychic attacks too. So if you didn't want to train up a new Pokemon, even that would be an option. And Butterfree's pretty good against poison types in the game. Finally, because ghost Pokemon are not immune or resist psychic types at all, this actually has the opposite effect in Gen 1, meaning that psychic types were actually super effective against those ghost types, because Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar are also poison types. To wrap things up, ghost types completely break Pokemon's logic because they cannot hit normal types with their own moves. Their moves are absolute trash in Gen 1, and psychic types can beat them in terms of usability and just countering them. Psychic types destroy ghost types. Thankfully, ghost Pokemon have been fixed, but it took all the way up to Gen 3 before they started to get really useful and diverse. In Generation 2, the legendary move known as Shadow Ball was added, but because of the introduction of Dark types, and because Shadow Ball could be basically learned by tons of other Pokemon, this once again limited the resourcefulness of those Ghost-type Pokemon. Ghost Pokemon are about as bad as Dragon types in Generation 1.